Hey, everybody. I'm going to get some time for people to come on in. I am so excited. It's been a while, y'all. It's been a while. It's been a few weeks. I took a little break, had to do kid stuff, mom stuff. Um,
Woman.
Girl, you know how it is. So everyone that is on our live today, welcome to Tipsy Tuesdays. You are you
Lean
like
into it.
we are back, girl. I'm back in this thing, and I've got my good sis with me,
Yeah.
Miss Sierra Reed. First of all, before we get into introductions, thank you, girl. Thank you for
Oh,
coming over here.
girl.
I know.
Thank you. Thank you.
Listen,
We'll get into that, but thank
okay,
you. Thank you. This is so great to be
you
here with you. You
know,
are you are, as they say, a day one.
girl.
Yes. In this career path, in this journey, you are a day one. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you,
Mhm.
girl. I've always been there. We'll talk about a little bit about how me and Sierra met, how we connected, how she became my good sis, and get into all the good things that this beautiful woman, this soul, this beautiful spirit has accomplished in her short life. Because you're not really that old, girl. You're not really.
Actually, girl, I hit the threshold this year and I was like, oh my God, like
Okay,
it's about to change after this.
okay.
Like a real.
Is it the threshold? Is it really? Okay,
Yeah, we'll,
okay,
yes.
okay. All right, y'all. Well, let's get into it. So, as you know, or if you're new to the channel, I am Emily Alexander, and I am the CEO and founder of COAC, which is short for Community Outreach and Advocacy Corporation. A lot of people know me from my LinkedIn page, which houses the Good Resume Project and a few other things, but really the Community Outreach and Advocacy Corporation is doing amazing things in the community. What we address is food insecurity, job insecurity for people who are considered underserved. And a lot of the times that looks like, our Black and Brown people, that looks like the disabled, that looks like people who are of the LGBTQIA plus community, that looks like a variety of things. And it doesn't have to be marginalized. That's just what we find when we go out into the community. We love to uplift, we love to empower, and we love to educate, which is why Tipsy Tuesday is here. This is what we do. We're providing tips for you to live a limitless lifestyle in all ways, personally and professionally. So, yeah. All right.
Girl, I can't believe you didn't pre-record that, honey. You got it down. That was a good.
Girl,
I understand the room that I'm walking into. Thank you. That was fabulous.
we had to set the tone. We had to set the
Yay.
tone. And I've got Miss Sierra Reed, as we already said, but
Mhm.
my girl is now the new senior director of podcasting operations at Urban One Radio, y'all.
Yeah.
Listen, we have to give it up for that because, ma'am, first of all, that's not an easy thing to achieve or an easy thing to accomplish. And here you are, all within your threshold years,
Girl,
accomplishing big things. You know what I mean?
thank you.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. And so the reason I really wanted to have you on is because I've always seen you as like a positive light and you always
Why?
uplifting. Every time we get on the phone, girl, we talk for hours.
Ouch.
Hours. It's
No.
hours.
Yes. Okay.
Of all of the
Yes.
things, of all just how we can better ourselves, how we can
Yeah.
manifest greatness in
Yeah.
our lives, just personally,
Yeah.
professionally. And that's just kind of the vibe that we've always been on, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
together. And so, for you to be in this space and for me to be talking to you in this space and allowing you to, to share some of your wisdom with the community, I think is going to be just profound. So I'm excited to have you here. I really am.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. I mean, this is like as you're talking and I'm reflecting back on when we first met, and just the light that you are. You have always been a light in every single way. In the big things, small things that you do, the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you treat people. You're such a great friend. You literally, like, when I had Sanaa, you did my whole baby registration, girl. I was overwhelmed. Like, you always, you show up and you are always authentically yourself.
Yes.
And you're a great representation of just like what a good friend is and a woman that is thriving, you know. And I'm proud of you. We're not gonna cry. This is what we're not gonna do on Tipsy Tuesday.
We're not gonna do it. No, we're not. We're not gonna do it. Girl, thank you. Thank you for that. I love to hear it. And I love that, because as you go through life, you really don't, I just move the way that I move. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
you do.
That's just how I do. So I never really think of how I'm impacting people unless it's like intentional. Like I intentionally need to go out into the community to do X, Y, and Z, right? But like people that are in my lives, it's like, okay, you need help, I got you. Like how do we need to get you up to the next level? Like how do you need to get here? You know what I mean? Like here are some resources. Let's have these avenues. Let's get it. Like, and what can I do to help you? Right?
Yeah, I mean, like that's your essence, of who you are. And I'm really not just saying that because like, we're on this show, on your show, but I remember from the first day I saw you, like, first of all, you're drop dead gorgeous, and that I told you that's a gift, honey. That's a gift, to be attractive, and and it's also the way again that you treat people, and how much you would show up in our jobs, like the work that we did, just you gave 100% from the day you, like, when you would walk in, and I would watch you because you are like like a big sister to me and someone that I admire when I came into. So should we give them context on how we met?
Let's give them context. You go ahead, girl. Give them context.
So when we were working at Chamberlain College of Nursing, we had one of the best teams. I feel like we had such a dynamic group of, now a lot of us are entrepreneurs and like professionals that are doing exactly what we said we would do. And I came in, I think, as like the youngest of the team, senior admissions advisors. And you were a great example of how to do the job. And like, I am not just no cat. Like, you bring in students and you really cared about their careers in nursing and what that meant. And that's why you are where you are now, where you can give so much on a platform, because I also think that is, to me, that's a reward, if you will, of being diligent in your work when no one sees you, like the next step is like to be elevated, right? Because you've done the work. And you've served, and you're continuing to serve. So, I'm excited. I remember when we used to, like when I thought about starting my own podcast, and it was just an idea. And I would go to your desk, and then you got promoted. And so your office was right next to ours. And I would go in there, girl. We were sitting there for an hour talking about this podcast. Look, and then what was it? Ty would walk around the room. Like, are y'all still sitting here talking?
Yes.
Building my dreams with you as my friend, and you just really created a safe space for me to do that. And you really believed in me. And like I said, I really looked up to you. Like, I would just watch you, the way you carried yourself, and as a Black woman, as a professional woman, before I met you, you and Nate were engaged, and then you got married, and then you became a mom, and like all those things. And I always had so much respect for you. Everyone did. And I just remember you were probably, I want to say, one of the first people that I came to about radio and about podcasting, like, to openly share what I wanted to do. Yeah. And I remember we were like planning the photo shoot. You gave me my dress.
I did.
You sure did.
I got the perfect dress for you, girl.
Yes.
Low in the
Yes, we planned the photo shoot and the content and the guests. So I mean, you are just really, really just tried and true, a wonderful person, a great supporter, and you've been consistent, all these years. So I'm grateful.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, girl. I mean, back in the day we were babies.
Yeah.
Not that we're like super old now, but
no,
just like that time, at that time, and that particular team, I think we all have these lifelong bonds, whether
Yeah.
we run into somebody at the store or we
Yeah.
call each other every now and again or we see
Yeah.
each other off, but it's always been like that connection. And
Mhm.
this was, my God, how many years ago was this
Girl,
now?
it's been a long
7,
time.
8, yeah, about 9 years because Monroe is
Yes.
9. Yeah,
Yes. So
she's 9.
probably about 11 then?
Yeah, 11. You're right, because it was before her birth.
Mhm.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's real crazy.
That's
We
real
should
crazy.
celebrate that.
We should. That's amazing.
Lifelong friendships that you make in the workplace, you
In the
know?
workplace.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a lot of my friends, my lifelong friendships are from people that I've met along the journey in at work,
wow.
and
Yeah,
because you have something in common, like you're
yeah,
in the same place, and a lot of times you have the same goals. And
yes.
but it is rare to continue those relationships once you leave,
It is.
This is special for
It
sure.
is, it is special, and I can say ever since then, it hasn't been the same for me
Yeah.
because you know what I mean. I think when you have people that were just, I think we were just all so aligned. That group
Yeah.
we were so aligned
Yes.
in the way, you know what I mean. And we would
Yeah.
laugh and have fun, and I had never had experienced anything like that in a workplace before.
Yeah.
And then of course everybody started doing their own thing and branching out and moving different places, but when Sierra came in, she was the youngest. I don't know how old Sierra was. She was like 20,
Young.
what, 25, 24?
24.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like she might have been fresh out of college, like fresh into the working world. But
Yeah.
what I admired about you is that one of the things that a lot of people say, and I know we're getting all off topic or whatever, but one of the things a lot of people think is that because someone is so pretty, that they're standoffish or that they
Yeah.
are stuck up or that they don't
Mhm.
care about others.
Yeah.
That was never like Sierra's vibe. And you don't know this, but I'm about to share it anyway. Well, but when I first saw it, because sometimes the
Yeah.
prophetic gets into me.
Yeah.
Um, it does. It really does.
Oh,
When I first
God.
laid eyes on you, number one, I knew you would be great. But number two, I was like, she gonna be in my life for a long time, like past this point of where we are. And it didn't happen like it was a slow build, right? I
Yeah.
mean, it was a
Yeah.
slow build.
Yeah.
But you never do that about me, because I would always
Mhm.
sit and I'd be like, it's fine, I'm gonna live
Yeah.
my life, the way I live my life. But I
Yeah.
always knew like we would be connected in some kind of way.
Yeah.
But she would come in focused. I mean, I never
Really?
who are focused, right?
Yeah.
But Sierra has always been very laser focused. That was my first time seeing somebody who was like, I got an eye, my eye is on the prize and I'm going for it. Whatever that looks like, I'm going for it. This is what I'm doing. I don't care what the sacrifice is, I'm gonna do. Like that was
Yeah.
the vibe that you had always given. You were so driven. And I
Mhm.
think I was more attracted to that because I was like, wow, she's so driven. Like she got
Mhm.
her head on her shoulders at, at
Yeah.
her age. Like I don't remember my 20s until I had kids. I don't remember. I know there were pieces, but I don't. It's a blur. It's a blur. Uh, but there were, girl, listen. But there were moments like I remember when you got that job on the radio station, and
Yes.
you
Yeah.
were a VJ, right?
Yeah. So I let's see, so I studied journalism at Georgia State, and I always knew that I wanted to be in radio, like growing up in Atlanta. My mom was, a single mom for the first half of my life, and we would drive back and forth between Lithonia and North Side
Right.
that way. And so we used to spend like hours, in traffic listening to the radio. Like that was our family time. We spent like 2, 3 hours in the morning and then 3 hours in the evening. And it became a part of our family, like listening to what was going on in the community. And I always because it was a part of my family, I really looked up to the radio personalities, like Frank Ski and Wanda and Greg Street. It's 6 o'clock. It's time for Street to Rock.
Yes.
I finished that. it's different. It just
I know it's different. You got to be from here to know about this. You
man.
know, I know.
Yes. And I
Okay.
used to rush home and like try to be caller number 9. And, that was really
Yeah.
a thing in my family. And I loved what Ryan Cameron and all of them contributed to Atlanta, and what it is. And so I knew from a very young age that I wanted to go into broadcasting, but I didn't know how to do that. Um, and so so when I graduated college, well, while I was in college, I ran into Griff, who's now like a
Oh,
nationally syndicated radio personality for
yeah.
Urban One. And we were at a music conference, and I was like, oh my God, like I've been listening to you, since I've, growing up. And I was like, how do I get into radio? He's like, just, go to the radio station. We're looking for interns, ask for that person. And so he was definitely someone that opened the door. Like along the way, you'll meet people that you don't even know you could be that person that's just saying, go connect with that person. And whatever you do from there, it's up to you. But just him believing in me enough to give me real information, I
Yeah.
took it. And I think that's
That's
something
big.
that I've carried throughout my career was like, I wouldn't just ask people to introduce me or make a connection. I would I would always follow it up with a real action. Like every step was like, okay, now I'm going to do this. And now I'm going to connect to that person. And so I went up to the radio station. And from the day I walked into that building, like my life, changed because it was a dream come true,
Wow.
growing up and like, I want to be on the radio one day and then walking into that building. And so for me, it was like I knew what that meant to some capacity that like I had made it to that point. And then from there, it was like, well, if I'm here, then I'm not that far from there. And so I networked and I really made sure that I showed up, from the little things of getting coffee, and being an intern for the personalities, to getting more responsibilities and just giving my 100%. I was pretty tapped into like this is a part of my destiny. Like I knew that. And that came from my upbringing and my parents being, pastors and the elders in the church and ministers. They would always tell me like, God has really called you for a purpose and, around women, and
Yeah.
God is going to use you to speak. Like I was pretty vocal at a young age, and like elders in the church would come and ask me to pray for them. And I
Wow.
just had a boldness, I think about me, and my love for God was just so loud and I was so passionate. And so by them telling me that I was meant for something great, I always carried that too. And I matched that with having the knowledge and the skill and going to school. And I didn't stop at that. I wanted the hands-on experience too. So then after interning, I graduated, and that's when I started working like in my professional career,
Right.
as like in sales, and that was something that also came natural to me, just understanding people's needs and matching it
Yeah.
up with a product or service. And I really leaned in on those skills. And then I started my podcast.
Yes.
And yeah, that was amazing,
Yeah.
to be able to create something
Yeah.
instead of waiting for the job.
That's
I
right.
created that opportunity for myself. I'm like, well, I want to be on radio. Well, what, I can't get on terrestrial radio, but internet radio is good enough for me. And so I found a local internet station and, paid the fees and came
Wow.
up with the show and, brought some girls in and, we birthed the podcast. At the time, people were like, what's a podcast? Like you're talking and there's no music. And, and so that was interesting too, to see, to be a
Right.
part of that shift in media. Do I need to stop here? Or
No, go ahead. You're doing great, girl.
yeah. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think I think my first step in betting on myself,
Ah,
because that was out of the norm, to go start your own radio show and
yeah.
then to do it with all women. And to do it at a time where honestly a lot of people laughed at me, a lot of them that I see now, they're like,
Ooh,
that's not real radio,
and look
but
at
I
you
just,
now.
right, I'm like,
Take
God
me
is
to the
good.
table. Okay.
Yeah, because you
Mm,
have to, so you sometimes, and I realized this through COVID too, like
yeah.
you have to think outside of the box. A lot of times we be
Mhm.
waiting for permission. Like the only way that we can do something is if we go through that door. You know what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
if you're clear about where you want the end game to be,
That's
the
right.
how you get there, you can create that. That's the beauty about like today's culture is that we
Yeah.
know we can create opportunities for ourselves now. But I
Okay.
was doing it at a time that it was, I think, not usual. And I was so young. And being a woman in a male dominated industry, like all of those challenges were before me and trying to be a leader at
Right.
such a young age. And so I made a lot of mistakes, a lot of mistakes. And it's okay because
You
I look
learned.
back at it now and of course, we learn from it,
Yeah.
but it was an exciting time to just be able to do more than just go in and out of breaks, on radio, like, Streets 94.5, and then that's it. And I was like, I have more that I want to share. I actually want to talk about Black women's issues and like I
Wow.
want to celebrate Black women and I want to uplift us and provide a space and do it with women that also had exciting things to share and knowledge. And so I did that. And also my parents too, they were heavy in community work. And they had, through our nonprofit organization, our church, they had applied for what they call an LP license, which is a
Okay.
local broadcast community station license through the FCC. And we were granted that license.
Oh,
And
wow.
so that was incredible because we're still like one of few Black families that own, an actual FCC licensed radio station. And
Wow.
so my parents, they built that and I came in and helped, with that. And then from a trip to Bali, where a friend was telling me that she had applied for a program where they would train her on how to podcast. And this was fast forward now about 4 years later. And
Okay.
so, she had applied for a program that would train you. It was Google's training podcast program. And so me being the businesswoman that I am, I was like, I want to know like what company partnered with Google
Yeah.
to create a training space. And I learned about the company at the time that I worked for, PRX. And so I reached out to them and girl, LinkedIn was my best friend. I
Ooh.
the senior leaders, their DM,
Yeah.
and I just did my spiel, I'm
Ooh.
this and I'm that, and I'd love to take a few minutes of your time to talk about X, Y, and Z. And
Yeah.
so a month later, the senior director reached out to me, and next thing I know, I was flying to Minneapolis. And by the time I came back, they made me an offer to oversee the at the time they were going through a merger in public media with PRI and PRX, also Radiotopia.
Okay.
And so I came in at that time to lead 7 of the top 10 broadcast markets: New York and LA, all of California and DC, Chicago, of course, Atlanta. And so I did that for 3 years, and I managed a few million in revenue and was able to sustain that even through the pandemic. And then at that point, I knew that I wanted to go into podcasting and, to really take that on more seriously, because that's really where I wanted to land. And the opportunity came. And it was rocky. It was
Wow.
scary. It
Yeah.
was very scary because I was the only woman on my team. I was the only mother on my team. And when I moved to Minneapolis, my daughter wasn't even 2. And, I'm from Atlanta. I never seen no snow like that before, you know, and to come in and have to take on the biggest accounts.
Yeah.
At first, I complained. I doubted myself. I remember going in the bathroom stall and crying, like literally sliding against the wall. Like, you know,
Because you are a bad woman, honey. I don't. Why were you doubting yourself? What
I
made
mean, because you will hit walls,
you? Yeah.
you'll hit those moments where it's time to level up,
Yeah.
and it takes faith, and I hit
Yeah.
walls, and I doubted myself. Like, what was I thinking that I could come out here as a single mom and raise my daughter in this freaking snow? And it's been 2 weeks since I seen a black person. And you know what I'm saying? I was like, I remember going into the bathroom stall and I was crying and I was like, I can't. But at that moment, I was like, I can't turn back now. You know,
Yeah.
at this point, I was like, I can only go up from here if I
That's
take accountability. And some of that was my diet. I was always tired and a little depressed because I was eating bad.
right.
And also that mental health, you
Yeah.
know. And so once I started to take control, once I realized that I was in control, you know, of the situation,
That's
and
right.
that God has always seen me through. Once I tapped into that,
Yeah. There was
girl,
nothing else.
when
I
I tapped
know.
into my power, and it was people around me too, you know, it was my family, it was my coworker, Mike, and it was friends like you that would call and check on me, like, girl, how's my Minneapolis going? And
Yeah.
encouraging me, you know, to continue moving forward, me activating, you know, that
Yeah.
power. And I started working out and seeing that I could make those changes in the physical
Yeah.
something to me. And like slowly but surely, I started to really step in my power and own that role. And I got, you know, recognized by our clients and by the CEO of, you know, of the company. And I continued to, like, it was working for me. So I
Right.
just continued in that energy, you know.
Yeah.
And and then I've always been the kind of person that I don't do the work if I don't believe in it,
Yeah.
know, if I'm not connected to it. But when I'm connected to it, I'm
You're a
dedicated.
force. Yeah. You're a force.
Yes. And
yes.
I found a connection with the work that I was doing.
Okay.
And I still felt very grateful to be there, you know.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people, when I say that, people correct me like, no, you deserve to be there. But I was grateful to God because I know where I came from. And I
Exactly.
know that it was a long journey to get to that point, you
Mhm.
know. And I was proud of myself and I was grateful for the opportunity. Um, and
Mhm.
then, yeah, and then I stayed there. I coasted for 2 years. I was
Yeah.
like, yes, you know, making money, like, hey, we getting here and on the way, I'm feeling good. And then I felt this pull within to continue, you know, leveling up. Like
Yeah.
I once again, I was like, this ain't all
It's
that
not it.
God has for me, you know?
Oh.
And
It was visceral for you, the feeling of it. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Well,
It
and I
was
wanna pause right here because when my sister was on, she did
fun.
2 back to forth. One of the things she talked about, because we talked about, it was in the space of, leaving a toxic work environment, and she was just
Yeah,
talking about and because not even she said it doesn't have to be toxic, right? It
right.
could just be
Mhm.
that it no longer serves you. You are
Right.
at the end
Yep.
of the road at that particular point of your life. And she's like, and you know, you'll know it when it's a visceral oozing
Yes.
out of your pores, like,
Yep.
I gotta do something more. I
Mhm.
need to do something more, or you know what I mean? Like that's one of
Mhm.
the things that she brought up. So to hear
Yeah.
you kind of circle and say that same thing, it's like that's big for a lot of people because I don't think a lot of people pay attention to that part. They may
Yeah.
feel it, you know, like, "Oh, I gotta
Right.
get up on this Monday," and then
Right.
cussing and kicking all the way into work, you know,
Right.
taking
Right.
shots of coffee trying to make it.
Girl.
But I know we have all been there.
Yeah, I mean, that's so true. And I think being tapped into, like, over the years, I've learned how to just like hear God's voice. Like I've learned when God is speaking to me, you know, in the last year more than ever. But I think I've always followed that pull.
Yeah.
And I've always been unafraid to take risks because I just believe that God will always catch me, you know?
Ooh,
Um, and I always did it in alignment with something bigger than myself. It wasn't out of just like, I want to make more money. I mean, sometimes, but for the most part, it was more than that. It was like, I'm on a
yeah,
mission. And
yeah,
anything that's like it opposing this or in opposition of this, then like that is not God. You know, like
right,
that's not for me.
Right.
So I've always leaned into that too.
Oh, I love it. That's a true definition of this right here.
Yeah.
Like truly letting go
Right.
and letting God use you and really just paying attention to what he's saying, right?
Right.
Because on this show, that's what we believe in God. But
Yeah.
there are other people who may be listening and they may not be believers in God, and maybe they're believers in the universe, or but whatever your spirit, whatever you're feeling,
Yeah.
to me that is of God. That is something that that's a voice, that's like a pull, like,
Yeah.
okay, you can do this. And if you let go of certain aspects and
Right.
understand that it's time to let go, let
Right.
me move you, let me get you, let
Yeah.
me take you to where I want you to be,
Yep.
and try just leaning into that a little more.
Yeah.
That's scary for a lot of people.
Mhm.
That's
Oh, it's
scary for a lot of
scary.
people.
Oh my God. It
Yeah,
is so scary.
yeah.
It took me having to believe in God
Mm,
in order for me to take the risks that I've taken.
okay.
Because I mean, I'm blessed. I
Yeah,
can't say I'm the most qualified. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like, there are people that may know more than me, that have more experience than me, that all of these things. So I recognize that I'm blessed to be in the space, and I don't take it up for granted. You know what I'm saying? Or I don't take it for granted. And yeah, I mean, like it's super scary, especially as a parent, and because I
yeah,
used to take risks off. Girl, if I got mad at y'all, I quit. Like I'm out. Like I got this. But
yeah,
but then when you become responsible for someone else's life, then you make thoughtful decisions, and
right.
so I've had to take those same kind of risks even recently as a parent,
Yeah,
and it took me, my faith in God, the fact that I was even considering
yeah.
not working. But I also, it took me believing in that I had acquired enough information on my own
Mhm.
and skill set that was valuable to
Yeah,
someone, that I could attach a real monetary value to that.
yeah,
And then I proved that to myself. Like I did it,
yeah.
and then I did it the same way I would if I were working for someone. I showed up
Wow.
on time for myself. I
Yeah,
took those meetings. I went and got the clients, and when the fruit started to show up, then that's when I was like, oh, this is what God wanted me to know. Like,
wow.
you got it. You got it.
Girl, I like how we having a nice little sugar coated conversation, but I need you to tell these people. I mean, I need you to really pop your collar and tell them what you just been doing. Talk about
Oh,
your big old, what was the big conference that you just had for
yes. Oh,
yourself
yeah.
and other things. Like, let's talk
Yeah.
about it because, girl,
Yeah.
yes, you've made all of these different moves, and to see the fruits of your labor. What if
Yeah.
I don't know your fruits? What if I want to know some
Yes.
fruits? What are your
Yeah.
fruits?
Yeah, so I think too, maybe over the past summer and the year before that, when I really started betting on myself and
Yeah,
I like started doing the work, that's when I was proving to myself that I actually knew what I was doing, because it would show up in like results. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? But like, yeah, I mean, recently, a few months ago, I was working independent, just like as a podcast manager, which was essentially pretty new in the industry because podcasting is still in its infancy. People are
yeah,
figuring it out, and like more people are getting into the space. And I recognize that there were a lot of people that needed representation, and that they had gotten their business to a point where they had tons of followers, and listeners, but they didn't have enough resources to then scale their business. So I started working for the creators as a podcast manager and helping them to find a home, a network deal, and negotiating contracts. And so yeah, I mean, we got in front of some advertisers and local businesses and then national businesses, and we started getting like 6-figure offers, which was incredible. And just as independent creators. And then I came up with this idea for the podcast movement, which is the biggest conference in the country, and it was actually hosted here in Dallas, where I'm based. And so I was like, instead of just attending, why don't I create a space for Black creators
mm,
to come, and collectively we just should celebrate each other, and Black creators and executives from different networks usually we'll see each other like, oh, I didn't know this person was at this, at this
Wow.
network. And so a friend and I, we got together, Lloyd George, he's an influencer in the podcast space and now podcast manager. And he and I got together. We created this event for all the executives we had iHeart, Amber from iHeart, who's head of audience. We had KG from Sirius and Zim from Sirius. We had Patrick from Apple, and the owners of Dystopia, Patrick Hill and Devontae Pickering. And we also had Issa Rae's network radio. They sponsored the event, which is incredible, with FIFA. And then who else? We had so many people. DCP was there. And so it was amazing for me to see all of these executives from every major network and
Yeah.
indie network, Black owned businesses in the same space. And we realized that we had something in common. We had been on this journey at the same time, and it
Mhm.
led us in the same space. And then the DLC came,
Wow.
NWA's the legendary iconic DLC came. And that meant something to us, to see someone that, we admired, and such a
Mhm.
God-fearing man show up, and take that time to sit with us and break bread with us. And so
Yes.
after that, we're still on a high from that,
Yeah.
creating spaces for other people. And then around that time, Urban One called me, and
Yeah.
it was amazing to just have that opportunity, because again, that's where I started.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been incredible. It's been a dream come true. Yeah.
That is, I mean, that's beautiful. You know what I mean? Because it really is like a definition of what betting on yourself looks like. That's the
Yeah.
true definition of you taking a chance, you taking a leap of faith, realizing that you are going to maybe hit a few walls and
Yeah.
stumble,
Right.
but you keep pushing and you keep moving
Mhm.
because you always had that laser focus that I talked about in the
Thank
beginning. You know
you.
what I mean?
Thank
And
you.
there's still so much more to come from you,
Yeah.
outside of just Urban One Radio and outside
Yeah.
of you doing that. There's more for you to create spaces for
You.
people to have a voice in
Yeah.
this industry,
Yeah.
and then even in its infancy. And I do believe that you're definitely in the right space because for you to host something like that, girl, and get all
I know. I mean, for them to show up, I was like, oh, y'all see me. That meant something too. Like, show up for your friends
yeah,
when they have something going on. Like, try
yeah,
your best. You know what I'm saying? Or at
yeah,
least like show your support. Like, I'm sorry I can't be there, but you got this. I'm so proud of you. Like that meant something to me too. Like it's like the little things, because when you're on a journey, it's very lonely. When
yeah,
you're laser focused, you choose to not show up to things because you got something to do, you're
right,
on your path. And so sometimes you gotta go ghost, and I had friends that was like, girl, that's okay, I know you working, like it's okay, I know you,
yeah,
and that meant something to me, and
yeah.
so it's that. And then it's also like, if I could share anything else, it would be careful what you agree to
Wow.
and the words that you speak. Sometimes we'll say like, girl, I can't do that, or I ain't going there. You know how I am. And then, or how you are, someone will say that to you, like,
Yeah.
you got to do this, and you don't, you're a procrastinator and all that. And then
Wow.
you agree to those things, and you literally cast a spell on yourself, because
Woo.
now you just assigned an agreement to an opinion, and now you
Wow.
made it a truth. And like I became very, even now, mindful of my inner voice and the things that I agree to that people say to me, around me about themselves. Like, no, like
Yeah,
everything that you say, your life is dependent on that. Life and death is literally in the power of the tongue. It really
it
is.
sure is. It really is. And I think I mean, I've known that to an extent, but I think now in this space of my life, I'm realizing that
Yeah.
life and death is really in the power of the tongue. And it's
Yeah.
really about what you say, what you agree to, not only like out you're saying it out loud physically too, or
Yeah.
signing your life away, but
Right.
just spiritually, what are you agreeing to, and being clear about that, and
Right.
it is a lonely journey, right? Because I always talk about, like, to just the people that I'm close to too. I always talk about, like, I got rid of a lot of people in during
Yeah.
COVID because it gave me time to sit with myself. It gave me time to truly hear what God wanted for me. It gave me time to really say, okay, well, who their energy honestly jumped off on me, and I didn't even realize, the reason I feel this way is because of what's going on with them, because I
Yeah.
fled into, I'm trying
Yeah.
to help people, not realizing that their negativity jumped into
Yes.
on me. um you know only my energetic people will get that part, but
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
jumped on me, and it took a
Mhm.
toll. And to come back from something like that, you have to be in alignment with God. You have to
Yeah.
be in alignment with what you hear and what you feel.
Yeah.
So yeah, knowing for sure what you signed up for.
Mhm.
But you brought up a few great tips. So let's
Mhm.
just your last four tips, right? Because there are a lot of people that they're stuck.
Mhm.
I think a lot of people are in a space of, I don't know. I want to become, a manager, a director, or a VP, or whomever, or maybe I just want to get to the next level
Yeah.
personally, because, it's a lot of things in my personal life that isn't going well. Like,
Mhm.
what are just some of the four tips that you could share that's helped you
Yeah.
um, achieve those next phases of your life?
Yeah. I think so. The first thing I would say is like be really good at the thing as best as you can at your level, at what you want to do, what you desire to do. Like be the person that has the wealth of knowledge around that thing. Study it. Like in this day and time, information is so readily available and easy to attain. You can go to YouTube University, you know what I'm saying, and learn a couple things. You can hop in somebody's DM on LinkedIn and ask them for a coffee check, and or a coffee chat, and just pick their brain. How did you get started? And
Mhm.
every interaction is always an opportunity to meet someone new. You have to be timely about that request.
You
You know,
do.
don't immediately when you meet someone, can you introduce me to that person? You have to nurture those relationships. I learned that the most valuable relationships take time to build.
Mm,
But that skill set of relationship building has been the most valuable thing that has attributed to my success. It's the people that I know and how I've taken care of those relationships,
yeah.
and making them want to introduce me to someone else,
Yeah.
or want to do the thing that I'm asking them to do. In my role, because it's still so early in podcasting, I really leaned into data and research and
Good.
finding the gaps, subscribing to the newsletters of the industry, knowing what the leaders are talking about, the hard problems that they're trying to solve, and digging in,
Yeah.
and really, really like loving it, and finding a
Yeah.
space for it, finding those gaps, and like, do I have a skill set where I can problem solve, for people? So like really roll up your sleeve and
Yeah.
understand the industry that you're in.
Mm.
And I mean like from every angle, not just your position, because you can't make leadership decisions when you're only looking from one position. A leader
Mhm.
is someone that's able to see things, threats and opportunities and challenges, from every angle of
Yeah.
their team, and so they understand the finances and how the business operates. They understand personnel and hiring the right people and what that
Mm.
looks like. They understand strategy. They understand if it's content. They get it. So you want to become well versed in every piece of that, right? So
Yeah.
you become valuable when you offer more than just that one thing. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like you
Absolutely.
understand every angle of the
It's a
business.
beautiful thing. No, I love you. I love the tips, and I love that you were able to provide all of those tips to the listeners,
I think that
because
was
it
four.
was that four? Yeah,
I
I
think
think it was.
so.
Oh, you know what? Even if it wasn't, you gave so many other tips throughout your conversation.
Yeah.
I think that was just so helpful, and I am hoping that people got a little bit of something that they were looking to hear from your conversation,
Okay.
just to see, yeah, just to see your journey, just to see that, sometimes, success really just doesn't happen overnight, but it is,
Mhm.
there are pieces of your life, even when you may think that, oh, this is not the right path I should be on, but that this particular part of your path is meant for your ultimate journey. And so I'm excited that you came to share.
Yay. Thank you.
Yes. You're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome. So, this is the time where I kind of like to end, not kind of, but I really like to end with some shameless plugs. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
shameless plugs for COAC. And if you've been watching it, you know some of the shameless plugs that I like to plug for the business. And of course, if y'all haven't checked out COAC and the nonprofit and everything that we're doing in the community, check us out.
Yeah.
Like, we're
Can I say, when it was time for me to level up and
yeah.
I needed to negotiate my salary and I had to figure out how to position myself as a leader, going from, being a manager to being a leader, I called Everly. I called, I called Everly. And I needed to know, like, how do I get into executive positions? Like, what does that look like? And she helped me to have that conversation. So I can speak to your services and how genuine you are. You empowered me. Like, yes, you deserve that. And this
Yes,
is what that should look like. You remember that?
absolutely. Yes, I
Yeah.
do. Look,
And
Sierra called me on a what was it, a morning? It was
girl,
morning.
I text you like,
Where was
Emily,
I?
like, I need help.
She was like, listen, we need to talk. I said, okay, all
Yeah.
right, here I am. Here, I got you. I got you. And that's with the Good Resume Project, y'all. So,
Mhm.
yes, we're not helping just the community, but we're also helping professionals level up. We're
Mhm.
also making sure that you get to that next level. If you do need some career coaching, if you want to make sure that your career documents are branded appropriately so that you can win big seats or just that next job
Yeah.
on your path, hit us up at the Good Resume Project. And of course, as always, we're looking for speakers on Tipsy Tuesday. And because, Tipsy Tuesday is not just about providing tips, it's a vibe, it's a movement,
Mhm.
it's providing resources. It's all about who we are, what we do, a true authentic moment of my gift towards people, because I am surrounded by a lot of people who are industry or industry experts such as Sierra, and they can talk about how to achieve certain things in your life professionally and personally. And so I just wanted to give my shameless plugs because I gotta toot my own horn too. toot toot.
Period. And period.
Period.
Yes.
What are we even talking about? But of course, as always, Sierra, thank you, girl.
Thank
I
you.
just,
Yes, I know.
this, this is, I know. Oh my God.
And this is really, people probably like, oh my gosh, we be like this for like 3-4 hours. When we
Yeah,
catch up, we catch up. We
we
catch
can,
up.
girl,
Yeah.
it'd be late. It'd be like 1 o'clock in the morning on my time. Like, girl, I
Yes.
got
We
you.
be like, hold on, I'd be like, wait, sis, so what?
Let me type this down. Let me write this down.
Like,
That's the whole vibe. That's our
yeah,
vibe.
so grateful for
So
you, Emily. So
thank
grateful for
you.
you. Yeah, I'm really, really blessed to have you in my life as a
Oh
friend.
my gosh.
Yes, thank
Girl. And I love having you in my life. The stuff you hit me with, I'm
you.
like, girl, I gotta come back to this. This is a lot. She believe in me more than I believe in myself at the moment.
Period.
You see
Yeah.
all the stuff.
Yep. And you did the same for me.
Yes, thank you. You need people like that. Like we just
Mhm.
like, if you don't have a person that's gonna push you to the next level,
Yeah.
small, big,
Yeah.
medium, whatever, like
Yeah.
somebody that believes in you,
Yeah.
even if it sounds crazy, even
Mhm.
if it's like, girl, I've been thinking about this, but I'm not really sure. Does it sound like a good idea?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Find that person. Find
Right.
that person to say, yeah, yeah, it does. And actually, let me tell you why this
Yeah.
looks like a good idea.
Yes.
you
Be honest with each other. Yeah. And
know?
don't be afraid to like let people pick your brain.
Yeah.
Like people are so weird about that now. They're like, they want to tax you for everything. Like, get on the phone and I got a $300 consultation. You're not really giving it. There's nothing wrong with that, but give them something. Give them something, because you got to be able to give in order to receive. Like, you
Yeah.
got to just give it up. You know what I'm saying? Like, the gift that God is giving you is not the gift for you, it's the gift to be given. I
Now,
realize that it's not for
yes,
me. Like, my gift is not for me.
somebody's waiting for you to do what
Yeah.
you have to do. So that's the part. And I love it. I love it. Thank you, Sierra.
Thank you. Thank
I
you,
love
sis.
you I
Yeah,
love this.
I love you.
Love you
And
too.
if you all need anything regarding podcasting, please follow me on LinkedIn. Like, I'm so happy to share Black stories, and I'm happy to share stories, but especially Black stories. Like, this is an
Yeah.
incredible time for us. So, yeah, if,
Oh
if
my
anyone is producing, please let me know.
Oh my God. You know what? I'm getting ready to find your stuff and put it in here so these people
Yeah.
know where to get you, where to pull you from, because it's really simple. She's LinkedIn Sierra.com. Here we go.
Mhm. Yeah.
Here's Sierra Reed. Here she is. Here, let me put it up so they can see it for the people that are interested in finding her. If you're on the LinkedIn platform, go ahead and just type in Sierra Reed in the search bar. If you're on Facebook, YouTube, head over to LinkedIn. Find her. Find the Good Resume Project. Find us all so we can definitely help you get to the next level and answer any questions that you have.
Yeah.
So thank you, girl.
Thank you.
All right. Peace, people.
Bye.
Bye.